In a tournament held right on Chinese soil, amidst thousands of cheering fans supporting the home player Lu Jiajing, no one thought that the name which silenced everyone would come from a nation outside the tennis radar. Alexandra Eala, 20 years old, from the Philippines, stepped into the Jingshan Quarterfinal like an outsider. No high seed, not mentioned by the media in the prediction charts. But when she set foot on the court, her eyes steady, her stride unwavering, all predictions began to crumble. The first set, she was down 2-4, forced deep, overwhelmed by experience. But then something happened, as if a switch inside Eala just flipped. She took 4 consecutive games. She reversed the momentum, and then turned the second set into a cold, calculated walk. 6-1, right in front of thousands of Chinese fans. Not a single whistle. No one left. Because everyone understood, they had just witnessed an unannounced changing of the guard. If you think this was just a random win, wait until the 16th minute, when we reveal the sophisticated tactics Eala used to break the game of Lu Jiajing, one of Asia's most veteran players. Subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel now, because this video is not just about a win. It's about a power shift that Asian tennis can no longer ignore. Lu Jiajing, China's last gatekeeper. Before the quarterfinal match, Lu Jiajing was considered China's last gatekeeper at the Jingshan Open. At 35, nearly 2 decades of professional play. Having gone deep into a series of ITF and WTA tournaments, Lu wasn't a global superstar, but she was a quiet icon of domestic tennis. On her home court, with thousands cheering her name, Lu carried the pressure and national pride. Alex Eala? In the eyes of the Chinese media, she was an unknown, a young Southeast Asian player whose track record hadn't yet shocked the local experts. But that very overconfidence was their first mistake. From the first minutes of the match, Lu played like a machine. A stable serve, a solid baseline defense, forcing Eala into difficult angles. When the score reached 4-2, everyone thought the match would follow the familiar script. Experience crushes impulsiveness. But what the Chinese forgot, and what many Americans still don't understand, is Alex Eala doesn't play tennis to learn. She came to win. And at the 23rd minute of the match, when she rushed the net, hitting a volley across Lu's face and screaming for the first time in the match, everyone understood that she was no longer the underdog. Second set, when a phenomenon turns into reality. The second set didn't start. It exploded. While Lu Jiajing was trying to regain her composure after the first set flip, Alex Eala entered like a different athlete. She was no longer hitting, she was imposing. Her all-court game became extreme, rushing the net after returns, pulling her opponent out of her comfort zone, hitting inside-out forehands like a hammer blow. 2-0, then 3-0. Lu no longer had a chance to adjust. Chinese media initially tried to maintain calm, but when the score reached 5-1, the hashtag Eala upset began to trend on Weibo. The derogatory whispers of Pinay wildcard suddenly vanished, replaced by the phrase, calm as ice. The audience started standing up not for Lu, but for the brilliance unfolding before their eyes. In the final game, Eala hit 3 unreturnable serves, then finished with a winning volley. 6-1, she didn't drop a game after 1-1. A second set demolition right on the opponent's home court. When they shook hands at the net, Lu whispered something. Eala just nodded, still not smiling. She didn't need to celebrate, because even her opponent knew this match was not a fluke. This was a statement from a young player, quietly flipping the map of Asian tennis. China is speechless. The world is whispering. Just minutes after Eala finished the match with a score of 6-4, 6-1, the keywords #Eala dominates and #Philippine tennis star began to trend on Weibo and Twitter/X. Photos of Eala bent over after the final serve. Her face expressionless, sweat on her forehead, quickly appeared on Asian sports news portals. But the special thing is, no one knew what to call her. Some articles called her the Asian Wonder Kid. Others used a more cautious tone, the calm disruptor. And a Shanghai sports broadcast ran the headline, the one who silenced the home court. Even the American media, which rarely pays attention to WTA 125 tournaments, began to mention her. Philippines' Alex Ayala stuns China's Lu Jiajing in straight sets. ESPN Asia, Tennis Channel, and even the New York Times Sports all mentioned her name, not because of a huge win, but because she won in a way that was too cold, too calculated, and too untraditional. A young player, coming from a country with no deep tennis tradition, unsupported by the WTA system, and unadvertised, managed to make an entire tournament shift its spotlight. And she did it with strategy, patience, and eyes that knew no fear. And perhaps because of this, people are starting to ask, how far can this girl go? The spreading shockwave. When Southeast Asia speaks up. For many years, Southeast Asia was considered a blank spot on the professional tennis map. The scattered representatives from Thailand, Indonesia, or Malaysia often didn't last long. And the Philippines, despite its rich sporting history, had never achieved a significant breakthrough on the Grand Slam or WTA stage. But Alex Ayala's victory in Jingshan is awakening the entire region. In Vietnam, Thailand, and Indonesia, news sites simultaneously posted the match highlights. The online community began asking, if a player from the Philippines can do this, why can't my country? Hashtags like hashtag #SEAsianPride and hashtag #NewEraTennis flooded X platforms. In the Philippines, the situation went even further. Major TV channels like ABS-CBN, GMA News, and CNN Philippines interrupted programs to broadcast special reports. A veteran sports analyst even said on air, "We don't just have Manny Pacquiao anymore. This is the icon of a new generation, colder, more strategic, and more global." This explosion is not just about tennis. It's a chain reaction, from the family dinner table to the school playground, from local sports coaches to the government itself. Suddenly, there is a valid reason to reinvest in tennis, because for the first time in decades, Southeast Asia has a leader. The new icon, not just because she wins, but how she wins. Winning against a Chinese player in China is rare. Doing it in 2 quick sets against a cheering home crowd is another story. But winning without showing emotion, without smashing the racket, without screaming, is what makes Alex Ayala a phenomenon. In an era where sports is gradually becoming a stage for attention, from colorful outfits, sensational posts to TikTok-style celebrations, Ayala chooses to stand still. Her victory doesn't need slow motion effects. Every shot carries enough weight. Many experts describe her as the spiritual clone of Steffi Graf, who once dominated the world with her silence. But there is a huge difference. Ayala does not come from Europe or America. She comes from a small island in Southeast Asia, where tennis dreams were once considered unrealistic. And it is that very contrast between her origins and her mental toughness, between expectations and results, that makes Alex a new icon. An icon who doesn't need to shout, "Look at me." An icon who just needs to play better than everyone else. Before the semifinals, all eyes on Ayala. When the semifinal match list was announced, Alexandra Ayala's name was immediately highlighted in every news report. No longer an outsider, no longer an unknown. She is now the focal point. Her next opponent, Lu Sun, the New Zealand-born player representing Switzerland, 1 year younger than Alex, but higher ranked, and who just won a thrilling quarterfinal match. A player with a fast, aggressive attacking style, fierce at the net, and once considered one of the next gen of European tennis. The semi-final match was moved to prime time, a clear signal from the organizers that people are coming to watch Ayala. Promotional posters changed. Short trailers began to appear with headlines like Ayala's Ascent or Giant Killer Returns. Within the WTA, some coaches are starting to pay attention. An internal report from the WTA Technical Committee leaked. Ayala's decision-making under pressure is comparable to top 30 players. The Filipino press is calling this the biggest match in Philippine tennis history. And the international audience? They are waiting to see. Was the win against Lu Jiajing a moment of brilliance, or the starting point of an unstoppable streak? And Alex herself? In the pre-match press conference, when asked if she felt pressure facing a young, yet higher-ranked, opponent, she just smiled and said, "I'm always underestimated, and I don't plan on changing that." the WTA is starting to notice, when the system can no longer ignore. For many years, the WTA barely looked at Southeast Asia. The region lacks a Grand Slam, has no top 20 players, and no highly funded academies. Names like Naomi Osaka, Zheng Qinwen, or Coco Gauff occupied all the spotlight in Asia and America. But after Alex Ayala's resounding victory at the Jingshan Open, everything began to shift. Some veteran players have spoken out. Madison Keys wrote on Twitter/X, "That was stone cold." Ayala has the clutch gene. Bianca Andreescu, former US Open champion, commented right underneath, "She's built different." The WTA Insider podcast unexpectedly dedicated 10 minutes to analyzing the match between Ayala and Lu, something extremely rare for a WTA 125 tournament. "She reads the court like someone who's played 200 matches on tour," they said. Even a manager from IMG, the global sports conglomerate, revealed, "Ayala is being closely watched. She has commercial appeal, but more importantly, she has fighting quality." At the same time, sponsors are also starting to pay attention. Brands that were previously hesitant are now reviewing contracts. A source from Nike Asia confirmed, "We have a potential collection ready if she reaches the final." From an overlooked player, Alex is now forcing the entire system to revise its plans. And perhaps this is only the beginning. The Ayala craze, from Manila to Madrid. Alex Ayala's victory did not stop at the score of 6-4, 6-1. It spread beyond the court, beyond the sports news frame. It became a phenomenon. In Manila, shopping centers displayed highlights of the match on LED screens. Cafes switched their background music to sports news. In public schools, physical education teachers embedded clips of Ayala into their lessons, not just to teach technique, but to teach composure, discipline, and mental toughness. The hashtag #AlexAyala Challenge, where young people film themselves hitting two-handed backhands like their idol, began to explode on TikTok Philippines. In Madrid, where she once lived and trained at the Rafael Nadal Academy, Spanish newspapers unexpectedly revisited the profile of the Southeast Asian girl, whose coach once described her as having the coldest spirit I've ever seen at 14. The homepage of the Rafa Nadal Academy reposted Alex's photo with the sole caption, "We always knew." Even the American media, who are usually preoccupied with domestic stars, began to pay attention. ESPN, Bleacher Report, The Athletic all reported, "A star is rising from an unexpected island." No one is calling her the replacement for Gauff. No one is forcing her to be the new Naomi. Instead, they are calling her the only name she needs, Alex Ayala. And that is enough. Payoff. When you think of the WTA, the first names you mention might be Iga Swiatek, Coco Gauff, or Elena Rybakina. But if you overlook Alex Ayala, you are missing something quietly happening. A tennis revolution coming from Southeast Asia. The victory at Jingshan is not just one win. It's the moment a player outside the traditional system breaks that system from within. Not through scandal, not through viral tricks, only through skill, strategy, and a cold composure that made the entire stadium stand up. The question is no longer does she have potential, but when will she break into the top 20? And deeper still, if a girl from a country with no tennis tradition can do this, what do the old geographical boundaries even mean anymore? Some say she is the representative of a new generation. But the truth is, that generation started with her. Alex Ayala has just stunned all of Asia. But few know that behind that composure is a binding condition she was forced to sign with a major organization, and it could affect her career for the next 2 years. We will reveal this secret agreement in the next video, and the reason why some experts worry she might be choked out before she truly explodes. Subscribe to the Pro Tennis Stories 360 channel now to not miss the next part of Alex Ayala's journey. And what do you think? Is this the beginning of a new legend or a dream about to be controlled? Leave your comments below.